For the past 2 evenings, you've seen that I am physically fit, poised, confident, and talented, all attributes necessary to be Miss America. With our time today, I hope that you also see I am personable and capable of being an effective spokesperson for the Miss America organization, its sponsors, and my platform of building intolerance to drink driving and underage drinking. I'm ready to begin.
Thank you. Suppose you were told, after you win at the pageant, that you will be spending most of your time not on your platform, but on helping to build Miss America as a company, a brand, and as an organization. What kinds of things would you suggest that the organization do, particularly with a new television sponsor and a new city?
Well, first of all, I think we took the best step forward by joining with CMT, because the most important thing for Miss America to be this year is marketable. She's got to be able to step out and make sponsors want to be a part of Miss America because it's such an incredible organization. Joining with CMT gives us a chance to spread our branches out towards a youthful network. We're joined with MTV. We have a chance to reach the youth, which has been the problem, I think, for Miss America in the past. We haven't been able to reach out beyond
What kinds of programming could MTV and CMT and VH1 do to help enhance the partnership with Miss America?
Well, from my perspective, I would add a lot more public service announcements regarding drink driving, regarding Miss America. I think CMT has done a fabulous job of promoting it. We just need to do more of that throughout the entire year, just not the month before the pageant. I think that there are a lot of different programs that can be added, but Miss America needs to be known nationwide year-long, not just during the time of the pageant.
Jennifer, how adaptable are you? Miss America wants to cut your hair for a different image. Are you going to fight them, or are you going to let them do it?
No, I'll let them do it. I'll let them do it. I don't mind at all. I'm the type of person that I often trust other people. I was working with my makeup artist, and he said, "We've got to lighten your lips." And I said, "I love my red lipstick." And he said, "We have to lighten your lips." And he was just saying to me last night, he said, "You know, I'm so proud of you because you've gone with what I've asked you to do." And so I'm very flexible.
Should we lower the drinking age?
Definitely not. Definitely not. Statistics have shown that because the drinking age is at 21, we have saved thousands of lives already. That would be definitely a move backwards for
But don't people drink anyway? Don't they drink anyway? I mean, does the drinking age really have any bearing on whether or not somebody's going to drink and drive?
Well, of course people drink anyway, but the problem is that it is illegal under the age of 21. The education system has not shown that to students, to young adults, to people who are even in middle-aged adults. They have not shown them that it is illegal to be under 21 and drink.
But wouldn't it be better to do things and teach younger kids that are 18, let them drink at 18, but teach them how to drink responsibly? Wouldn't that be better?
Definitely not. Definitely not. It all comes down to good decision-making skills. The program that I have implemented in Oklahoma is a decision-making skill process. It teaches elementary school students how to make good decisions. The choice to drink is a choice. That's all it is. It's a choice. We have to educate people as young as 6 and 7 years old on how to make good decisions, but we definitely should not lower the drinking age.
So why do you think then that it's not a problem in Europe the way it is in the United States? Do you think it's because of the media influence here, or why do you think it's such a problem in the United States?
Because it's seen as a rite of passage. We hear stories on the television about, oh, here's Mr. So-and-so with his 8th DUI. Why is he on his 8th DUI? That's a problem here in the United States. It's because it doesn't have the shock value anymore. Parents see drinking through their teenagers, young adults, as a rite of passage. That's what we've got to stop. It's not okay, but it's seen okay in the United States, whereas in Europe it's not that way.
Jennifer, how did you get your sponsorship for your program? Where did you find the money to do it?
Actually, I didn't use very much money. I made all of my program boards by myself with markers and stickers that I found at an education store, and for my entire program, I probably only spent about $50.
Then how did you implement it? How did that happen?
Well, I'm taking it into schools all across Oklahoma through the America Cares for Children program that Miss America gives to us. They give us the opportunity to step into schools. As Miss Oklahoma, I'm welcomed into schools to speak regarding good decision making, and all of my products that I use were just handmade.
What's your opinion regarding, as a, say, elementary education major, the federal government's No Child Left Behind Act?
Well, this marks the 4th year for the No Child Left Behind Act, and although we've seen some progress, we're still based on test scores. And although we do show progress with test scores, it's not the only thing that teachers are teaching, and I think that's the problem. It's been underfunded by $40 billion. Of course, it's hard to find funding in the education system. As a teacher, I know that we are not well funded. That's the first problem that we need to face. But You know, the first decision made was that this would make students proficient in English, language, and math by the year 2013. So I think we're making strides, but we still have time to see what will develop from No Child Left Behind.
Well, then how does that
before
fit in
that.
with bilingual education? You know, should we continue with bilingual education when we're trying to make children proficient in English?
I definitely think it's important for children to be able to be exposed to bilingual education. I worked in an elementary school that was 98% Hispanic, and I saw second graders who spoke no English thrown into an English-speaking classroom with an English-speaking teacher. I saw it firsthand what happens when those students are struggling just to make it through the day because they don't speak our language. So I definitely think bilingual education is still an important aspect, but we also, living in America, we need to be proficient in English. You have to be proficient in English to survive as a functioning citizen.
Oklahoma was an oil state for a long time. Is the war in Iraq for their freedom, or is it for our oil? Or for their oil?
Oh, I definitely believe it was for their freedom. I don't think it's had an effect on our oil in Oklahoma, although we have seen gas prices up and down and different controversy regarding that. It was definitely for the freedom of the people over there and for our protection.
But do you think we would have done it had 9/11 not happened?
Had we gone into war with...
Yeah, would we have gone into war simply for their freedom?
No, I don't believe we would have. I definitely think 9/11 set us up on guard. We're definitely up on the high level of watching the protection of our country.
Do you think
so-
9/11 was an excuse to invade Iraq? For
Not
whatever
at
reason
all.
that you believe were there?
Not at all. There was a threat posed to our country. I believe our president took the initiative that he needed to take to get over there and to keep our freedom and our protection safe
So
here
do
in
you
the
think
United
Miss
States.
America can be taken seriously in a boardroom with 20 corporate executives that are all men?
Definitely.
So if
Definitely.
Iraq was for their freedom, then why don't we go to Zimbabwe and get rid of Mugabe?
I'm not very familiar with that at this time, but I will look into it. Thanks.
So what would you do or say to make these gentlemen take notice of Miss America as an authority?
The first thing I would say is that Miss America organization has paid my way through 4 years of school. I started competing at 17, just kind of by accident. Somebody came to me and asked me to be in a local pageant. But for 4 years of my college tuition has been paid by this organization.
Do you think men really care about that?
Definitely. Definitely.
In a
But if they
boardroom?
don't now, after this year, Miss America, whoever she may be, needs to make that happen this year because
So you think you could
that's
be
the
a quality
important aspect.
fundraiser for this organization?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Miss America needs to be marketable. She needs to be able to get out there and make sponsors want to be part of us. That's what needs to happen. Is Miss America needs to be on a level that corporate sponsors are knocking at our door. They're
How would you
knocking
go
at our
about
door.
doing that? What are some of your suggestions?
Well, like I said, joining with CMT will put us more out into the celebrity status. I think that Miss America needs to be brought back into the celebrity status. She needs to be on the red carpet. She needs to be in People magazine. She needs to be on TV. She needs to be seen. Last year when I would ask people, what is Miss America, they could tell me. When I asked them who she is, they had no idea that her name was Deidre Downs and she was from Alabama.
Do you think it's appropriate for her to be in a fashion magazine?
Of course. I think she needs to be everywhere. Miss America is a very flexible position. I think she needs to be able to go from one end of the spectrum all the way to the other.
Do you think you're pretty?
Gosh, I don't think of myself as pretty necessarily. I'm a perfectionist, being a ballet dancer, and so for me, I'm always striving to improve. I look in the mirror and I say, oh, let me fix that, let me fix that. But it's definitely,
Should Miss America be involved in international affairs?
I think so. I think as an ambassador for the United States, she's going to have to be available to be involved in international affairs. I think she should be able to do that.
Traveling for an entire year and you're not able to get to the ballet studio.
Well, actually, this year as Miss Oklahoma, I've done so many school assemblies that I have been out of the ballet studio quite a bit. When I was at the University of Oklahoma, I was dancing 5 days a week. And I really had to adjust to that from June until now. But I found that I was able to do that when I didn't think I could. I found that I was able to keep my talent up, to stand in a hotel room and do pliés and tendus and keep my body stretched on a schedule where I was doing 85 school assemblies in 6 weeks.
How do you deal with
Same-sex
Indian
couples,
racism in Oklahoma?
should same-sex couples adopt and marry?
I think that same-sex couples should have the same civil rights as everyone else, but I do not think that their union should be called a marriage. Marriage is defined between a man and a woman. We need another word for it. But the funny thing is that there are a lot of same-sex couples that would make much better parents than heterosexual couples. I think that that should be taken into
How do you deal with
consideration.
Indian racism in your state?
I'm sorry.
How do you deal with Indian racism in your state?
I haven't had I haven't seen a lot of Indian racism in my state. Although we are the largest Native American population, we really don't have a problem with that anymore. I think we have worked beyond that. I don't see it very much.
Do you really think that?
I
Do you
really think
really
that.
think that racism, that there's no racism towards Indian culture?
I'm not sure if there's no racism towards them, but I definitely think we've taken strides, because being in Oklahoma since I was 6 years old, I don't see it at all.
Do you believe that race played a part in the lack of preparedness or the lack of response in the Hurricane Katrina aftermath?
Not at all. I think when you are faced with a tragedy like that, as much as we'd like to prepare for it, we will not always be 100% prepared.
For an entire week, people on rooftops, is that acceptable?
Well, I'm wondering what happened to all those buses that were under the water and why they were not used to take some of those people out. Of course, there were transportation issues, communication issues, and we can never be fully prepared for a tragedy
Condoleezza
like
versus
that.
Hillary for president.
Ooh, Condoleezza.
Team Aniston or Team Jolie?
Team Aniston.
Pro-life, pro-choice.
Pro-choice.
Now answer why to those three questions, Kim.
Okay, what was the first one?
Hillary, Condoleezza. And you picked Condoleezza.
I picked Condoleezza. I've admired Condoleezza for a long time. I think that she is a great representative of women in the United States. I've pretty much agreed with her stand on things and her side of issues, and I admire her very much for that.
Jennifer, I think we're done. You don't have
Are
to
we?
worry about remembering the
Well,
other two.
whew, they want to tell you about Jennifer because, you know, she has my name, that's why.
And do you have anything else you'd like to tell us about?
My platform of building intolerance to drink driving needs to be moved outside the borders of the United States. I've done what I can in Oklahoma, and now we need to bring it to a national and an international level. Miss America must be marketable this year. She must be able to take this program out and make everyone want to be a part of it. I believe that I have the heart and the passion for this organization because I've seen what it can do in my own life. It has paid my way through school. I believe that I have the attributes necessary to be Miss America, and I'm ready for the responsibilities of that job. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
I'm Christy, representing Virginia. In the past couple of weeks, we've all been inundated with exactly what or who Miss America should be in 2006. My objective today is to convey to you my ability to be that Miss America, working to promote our organization. I'm excited to talk to you today.
Christy, you are the granddaughter of an immigrant. Are your grandparents U.S. citizens now?
Yes, definitely. I'm the granddaughter of two sets of Greek and Irish immigrants through Ellis Island.
Excuse me. Let's say there's a child born of illegal immigrants here in the United States. Should that baby be a U.S. citizen?
I believe it is actually stipulation in law. I know you're a lawyer, so maybe you can tell me that.
It is currently, but do you believe that that is the right
Because
thing
it's
to do?
law, I think it is the right thing to do. In a way, it does sort of condone illegal immigration, which I think is the problem in the system, but I do believe that that is written law, and the child definitely should be a U.S. citizen.
You've hiked the Appalachian Trail. What'd you think?
Not the entire Appalachian Trail, just in
No,
Virginia.
parts of it, as have I. What'd you think of the Ben and Jerry? Did you look forward to the Ben and Jerry stations?
Always the Ben and Jerry stations. I love trail mix. It's such a cliche. It's so silly too. I love trail mix when I'm on the trail, but I like to go to the different kind of outposts and get
What was
trail
your
mix.
favorite flavor?
I like Chubby Hubby a lot. I love Chubby Hubby because I like chocolate covered pretzels. So
Was your cousin fired, or did he retire of his own accord?
George Tennant, he retired. He stepped down from the
Was his
position.
choice?
Yes, definitely.
You really believe that?
Yes, absolutely. We're very close. He's not my far-removed cousin that I never talk to. I see him at family reunions, at birthdays, at parties all the time. So he is my reason for my trust in the government, if I have any at all, no matter what I hear on the news, no matter what I read in the paper. If I really get downhearted about my distrust for the American political system, I think of him and I think of my trust for him.
What about the lobbyists controlling the government now?
The lobbyists controlling the government now? Really, I think everything controls the government now. I would absolutely love for our government to be, people who go up for election saying, this is what I want to do for you, this is the leadership position I want to take for you. But what they're doing instead is just saying, how can I run after your vote? How can I run after a constituent? I would love for it to be the way it's supposed to be, but it's not, and it's certainly because of lobbyists, but it's because of us too, unfortunately.
Christy, you're Miss America now. Let's say that.
Thanks.
And we tell you Monday.
That was easy.
We tell you Monday morning that your platform is wonderful, but we won't be using it. What we'd like you to do is to come up with some new marketing strategies that uses CMT and its parent company Viacom and all of their networks in some ideas for programming that reshape the Miss America image. She's, a lovely homespun girl. She may be a little stiff to some people, a little
Not this
too
year.
prudish, but how would you vamp that up using the new resources we have?
Absolutely. I consider Miss America 2006's platform to be promoting the Miss America organization. I have my own personal platform in life skills training, but Miss America this year has a very specific platform, and it's been very directly stated to her. So I'd be very excited at that opportunity because I think I understand that position that she has to take. In my paperwork, you'll see a lot in my statement and in my the questionnaire, plans that I have for CMT, for MTV, VH1, BET, all kinds of Viacom networks and their affiliate online partners as well. I'm sorry? I'd love for Miss America to have a recurring spot in reality television, whether it be on Good Morning America or any of those Viacom networks. CMT would be so easy. For her to kind of get up and show the rest of the world what she really is all about, and that would kind of remove the stiffness, I think, because you would see when she meets the president, you would see when she addresses Congress, but you would also see when she spills coffee in her lap, and you would also see when she fell down the steps getting off the plane. So really returning her to the American public that way, I think, would be so beneficial. I also think that she should be able to sort of connect with people through the internet. The internet is an untapped resource of Miss America as of yet. That's what I've done in my state as Miss Virginia. I've sort of used that internet tool to be able to reach people. My second runner-up calls me the people's princess. She thinks that I've returned Virginia back to the people because I keep a journal. I post pictures constantly. I have 2 different links, one in which people can write to me to ask questions about Miss America, Miss Virginia, about me personally, and then one for students in Virginia and in the nation where they can ask me questions pertaining to life skills as
How long
well.
have you been a part of this program?
Well, I've been a part of the program just as someone who watched it since 1994. Heather Whitestone was technically my first Miss America. I met her, so she has to be my favorite. Colin Johnson was her first runner-up. I was in Atlantic City when they were there. But participating in the program, I did my first local in, I was 19 years old. I got second runner-up in one swimsuit. Thanks for that, by the way. And then I won my first local this year and won Miss Virginia.
How do you feel about gay marriages?
That's a tough one for me because any of the gay people that I've met, especially being a performer, being in theater, they're all very, very positive, nurturing people, and I can't say that a child shouldn't be brought up in a positive, nurturing home. But I do see the legal ties for the fact that marriage is just a union, and it really basically started for tax purposes. So it's not really something that religion can step into and say that it has a lot of control over. Of course, you start marriage, in the Bible, in a marriage between a man and a woman and that kind of union. So I see both sides of the issue, but I support it.
Have you actually visited juvenile detention centers in Virginia?
Yes, ma'am.
What are they like, and then what do you do there?
They're nothing like what I thought at all. I had sort of visions of cable TV and these kids running around just kind of having fun and, okay, well, we got to stay in here for a couple months and then we get to go back to our lives of crime. Not it at all. Not it at all. And I've really been trying to communicate that to civic and charitable organizations that I speak to as Miss Virginia. These kids are very regimented. They're under very strict control. They're very sad. They're very confused. But the one hopeful thing is that they're in there using the time that they have to think about what they've done. I find that that's a very, very constant stream that they all share.
What's your favorite song?
Do you speak with them?
My favorite song, American Child by Phil Vassar. I do. I speak to them like I'm speaking to you now, but I also speak to them on one-on-one levels. That a lot of them call me their big sister. I'm a friend to a lot of them.
You're an aspiring physician. How do you feel about socialized medicine and how it can react or how it can help take care of the poverty in this nation?
That's definitely where we need to go with medicine. You'll find that, especially with immigration, this really ties into an immigration policy. It's especially with the new Medicare and Medicaid things that have come out that I'm sure you all have been hearing about all week. That's really the society that we're impacting. That's the community that we're impacting. I'm an upper middle class white girl. I don't see the problems in medical care when I go to my doctor. But if I were an immigrant, if I were a lower class minority, I would be able to see that. So that's something that as a doctor and in medical school, I can't wait to be one-on-one with these people and say, what do you need?
Would you, as a doctor, if you had the opportunity to assist someone in suicide, and they wanted you to and needed you to, and you felt that what would be your feeling on that? What would you do?
Based on my current principles, I don't think I could do it. I think it's a slippery slope towards giving doctors too much power and giving the medical community in where they don't need it. I just believe in the natural process and the natural energy of life and the way things will pan out. I don't think that I could do it, but it would be able to,
How did you feel about
it could
the
be
Terri
changed
Schiavo
after
case?
medical school. I'm sorry?
How did you feel about the Terri Schiavo case?
I felt that her husband had the rights to do what he did. When you get married with someone, as we were talking about earlier, you join into a union with them and you sort of share your life with them. It's, there's a lyric from a song in a wedding about a woman leaves her mother and a man must leave her home. You go to someone else. So I would imagine that they had shared those views with each other. I'd imagine that that was something that they talked about.
But my question actually to you, I should have clarified it, is do you believe that it's okay to remove food and water if someone's life is being sustained on food and water? Do you believe removing that?
No, I thought you were
is
asking if it
also
was her
suicide?
parents' right or her husband's right. It was definitely her husband's in that case, right. But no, I didn't think that was, she went through torture. She may not have known it, but what if there's something that we don't know about the brain in that stage?
Is America ready for a female president?
Absolutely, absolutely. I love Condoleezza Rice. I would love to see her run for president. I don't think she will. I don't think I'll get my wish, but...
What qualities do you like about her? What has she done?
I just think she's so elegant. She's a Miss America to me. She's someone who's incredibly intelligent, just an outstanding citizen. She's not afraid to say what she means. She's very, very eloquent, and she's very well-spoken.
Can you give me a specific example of something that she's done that you've admired?
It's really everything that I've seen her do in the news, everything that I've watched in media that she's had a part of when she acts as an ambassador. I really just admire everything about her.
Are we in Iraq for their freedom, or are we in Iraq for our oil purposes?
We're in Iraq for our oil purposes. That's something that's hard for me to say because, as I was talking about earlier, I have a cousin who's very embedded in government, but I've read the actual reasons, not because of my cousin, but because I've researched them. I've read the actual reasons that we had for going into Iraq, and I think that the beginning of it was justifiable, and the fact that we wanted to implant democracy was justifiable, but there are all these kind of tags on the end that have to do with oil and that have to do with controlling that resource.
Have you graduated from George Mason?
Not yet. I've finished with my Bachelor of Arts in English, the 20th Century Language and Literature, but instead of walking, I'm adding pre-med to it, and it's basically because I have B's and C's in my English degree, and I need a 4.0 to get into medical school, or I need a 4.0 because I'm just tenacious. So.
Do you need to work in a hospital or volunteer or anything?
I used to be a candy striper in middle school. I volunteered a couple times in hospitals, volunteered in Walter Reed a couple of times this year, so I will need medical experience. I will need to do that a little bit more.
What's your favorite novel?
My favorite novel? The Poisonwood Bible by Barbara Kingsolver. I studied sub-Saharan African culture for some time under my major, and she spent probably 10 years, I think, with her parents in sub-Saharan Africa in the Congo.
What's the cause of debt relief, and why should the United States care? What is the cause of the heavy debt in African nations, and why should we care about debt relief? What's our responsibility?
We're in a global environment, in a global community, and I don't think that we're taking the responsibility there. And this doesn't necessarily speak to the actual debt relief, but it speaks to how we handle countries like this. Colin Powell went to Africa and said, this actually came out of his mouth, although there are genocidal acts happening, we don't define this as genocide. And that makes absolutely no sense to me. So our view for the fact that we have no resources there that we need to go after, I think that's what's contributing
Why
to
do you
that.
want to be Miss America?
I think that I understand who Miss America has to be this year. She has to be a marketing guru. She has to be a businesswoman. She has to have marketing and personal relations expertise. I've always been the kind of person that, I don't want to toot my own horn or anything, but people have always told me that I'm charismatic. I walk into a room and people know I'm there. And that's who Miss America has to be, I believe.
Christy, I'm sorry, but the time is up. And was there something else you'd like to share with us at this time?
That always goes so fast. I just want to let you know that I know being Miss America in 2006 is about revolution. Oftentimes revolution involves frightening change, intimidating circumstance, but it's what we do in those situations that defines who we are. Miss America 2006 is going to redefine this organization. If it's about nothing else, it's about being a leader, and that's why I'm asking you for this job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
I am very honored and humbled to be here and be amongst these intelligent and beautiful contestants. I have had the opportunity to market myself in the workforce for the past year and Special Olympics. Now I'd like the opportunity to market Miss America and be a leader of this new image. I have the energy, the education, the passion, and the commitment to be the Miss America we need right now.
And I have the first question. As a D.C. person, are the lobbyists ruining true representation in Congress?
The lobbyists have an extreme amount of power, and I sometimes think our representatives forget that they need to be representing the voters who put them in office, and not so much the people that are throwing money at them. So I do believe the lobbyists have a lot of power, and I like to see that downplayed a little bit more and have the people represent, our feelings and our emotions in Congress.
When did you first decide you wanted to become Miss America?
It was more of a reality last year when I came and watched Miss America. I've been competing for 5 years in the Florida system, and I actually sat there and I watched those girls walk across the stage, and I was like, wow, they're touchable. That could be me. So it's the first time I finally came down to earth and realized that I could be one of those contestants, and that it is a reality to be Miss America. So this year when I was promoting myself, I thought it was a great opportunity, and I really
How did
wanted
you get
it.
to D.C. from Florida, or why?
I was finishing my MBA, and I wanted to start my career. So the first place I looked was Special Olympics. I had been a volunteer for them for over 14 years, and what a better place to start a career than something that you're very familiar with and a great amount of knowledge. So I applied there, and I've been there for over a year now, and I love it.
And that's located in D.C.?
It is.
And you live in D.C. now? Or?
I actually live in Alexandria, Virginia. My dance studio is like 45 minutes outside of D.C. So I commute to work every day, and then I commute out to my dance studio every day.
Is St. Leo in Florida? Is that why you were in Florida?
It is in Florida, yes,
And
ma'am.
you're finished with your graduate school?
I finished last May.
Is America ready for a female president?
I think we are, and I think we have 2 candidates running in 2008. So whether America's ready or not, it's going to happen. I really think it's going to be Hillary Rodham Clinton and Condoleezza Rice.
Outside of those two candidates, who would you pick?
Outside of the females?
Outside of those two. There's a third woman you would have to put on.
Third woman. Well, could Elizabeth Dole run? Is she ready? She definitely has the experience and the respect and the education to do a very good job as
Do you
president.
truly think that Condoleezza Rice is her own person, or is she simply a puppet of this administration?
I'm sorry, is she a...
A puppet of this administration?
I don't think she's a puppet at all. She's definitely got to the position of Secretary of State by proving herself, by proving that she has the knowledge to be an expert in her field. And you don't send somebody over to other countries if you don't believe in them and know that they're a person of their own substance. So I believe she's her own person, but she serves the administration.
When I say the word
people.
Diddy, what does that mean to you?
Diddy? I think of P. Diddy, maybe entertainment.
What about
If you'd like to market Miss America.
Yes.
We have a new television partner.
Right.
If you were to turn on CMT 3 months from now, what kind of programming would you like to see on the air that markets the Miss America organization?
Well, hopefully they're showing reruns of Miss America. Wouldn't that be fabulous? I think that would be one very positive thing. But maybe showing more of following the contestants after Miss America. How great would that be? Show them going back into their communities and serving the public, and maybe do a little reality TV show of Miss America and show what her journey is like throughout the year instead of just that one night.
Do you think P. Diddy could be a role model, or is a role model for the youth?
I think anybody that has the opportunity to be in the spotlight is a role model, and I think they should choose to use that spotlight for that. So anybody that does have the power and the image.
Is he one? Is he a positive role model, I should say?
I don't know enough background on him to give you a straight answer, so I don't want to go there.
Shannon, should we be concerned as Americans about the outsourcing of jobs to China and India?
I definitely believe we should be very worried about it, but we also have to realize in order for jobs to stay in America, it has to be realistic. We're going across seas because it's cheap labor, and I'm not saying that's right, but corporations are always looking at that bottom dollar. So we need to find a way to make it very profitable and affordable to keep it in America.
Should we close the southern borders of the United States and patrol them with ATVs and in order to keep immigrants from Mexico out of this country?
I don't believe we should close the borders. America is about being that country, that nation that welcomes people in. So I believe just building a wall, as many people want to do, is not the right answer, but we do need to regulate it. We do need to have some sort of guest work program or something so we can control it, and we can make sure those people that are entering our country are paying taxes to help our school system, to help our healthcare system, so it's well-rounded and well-balanced. Otherwise, that's where we get those big
Does it
deficits.
discredit Miss America as an authority on specific issues if she's featured in a fashion magazine or works with a cosmetics company?
Absolutely not. What Miss America needs right now is that beautiful image that says, you know what, Miss America is beautiful. She's intelligent, she's talented, she's gifted, that she's everything. She's the all-American girl, so I believe it'd be
Do you
a very
think that's a smart way to market this organization?
Absolutely. How many beautiful contestants do we have here? I think we should take advantage of that.
What do you least like about the Miss America organization?
Honestly, I've competed in this system for 6 years, and I have an appreciation for this system that's
But you have to
undeniable.
pick something that you don't like about the organization or that you competed in.
The only thing I really don't like is the 30 seconds before I have to walk in here.
Shannon, tomorrow you win. You do get that reality TV show. The producer of the show comes up to you. The show is doing not so well. Listen, Shannon, we need to up the ratings. So in tomorrow's episode, we need you to do something scandalous. We need something just to get the ratings up. Because if you don't, we have to cancel the show. What do you do?
Go eat a big chocolate brownie sundae. Show that girls do eat. Something scandalous. I love to skydive. So maybe that could be something, show Miss America jumping out of a plane. It would be something a little bit different that I don't think people would be expecting.
Let's talk about jumping out of a plane. And going up in an F-18. How did you prepare for that?
I was bouncing off the walls. When I walked up to the F-18, I was literally jumping up and down. I had my little niece in hand, and it was just an awesome opportunity. I went through a 45-minute debriefing where I had to sign my life away. But it was just an amazing opportunity. And the first time I went up to in an airplane and jumped out of it, why, I still haven't figured out. But I was just really excited. And there's things that when I want really bad, I just push for it and try and enjoy the opportunity when I'm there.
D.C. has a huge homeless population. D.C. has a huge homeless population. What can you as Miss America do to prevent or to take care of that?
Well, one of the good programs I like working with is Habitat for Humanity, by taking people that live in homes that aren't substantial to get them in better homes. To get the homeless off the street is really supporting the organizations that are doing that, the homeless shelters in D.C. Some of them aren't up to standards, so make them where the homeless want to actually sleep there. They don't have to worry about being robbed or abused. So that would be probably the two major things that I focus on.
Should a single mother be allowed to adopt?
Absolutely.
What about a gay couple?
Absolutely.
Gay marriage?
What I believe in, first, for the adoption, is that the children have the best atmosphere and the best opportunities. And that if it's a gay couple, if it's a single parent, I do believe in it. Gay marriage is my personal Catholic belief. I do not believe in it, but I'm not going to hold my religious beliefs against anybody else in their pursuit of happiness.
You're in a corporate boardroom, in a board meeting, handling some Miss America business with some executives. The executive next to you leans over and says, "I saw you in that swimsuit," and puts his hand on your knee. What do you do?
First of all, I'd remove his hand, and then I would let him know how much work it is to win a swimsuit award. That it's not just something that you get naturally, that I spent many hours in the gym, and I worked hard for it, just like I worked hard to be in that boardroom as Miss America.
Do you think the images of women in magazines today cause young girls to have poor self-esteem?
Poor self-esteem definitely starts at home, and the parents should definitely focus on being very positive with their children. But we have a very negative image where like 100 pounds is what's hip and trendy. I'm not 100 pounds, and I never will be, and I don't want to be, so we need to have Miss America be a good image. So when girls are flipping through the magazine, they see Miss America and say, you know what, she's a real person.
But you see Miss America in a swimsuit, some of them in a two-piece swimsuit, and some of these little girls are going to be watching the Miss America pageant, and may not be that thin. And that may cause them to go out and try to do drastic things. How do you reconcile the fact that Miss America's in a swimsuit, but yet we think that magazines or some of these images are causing them to do drastic measures?
Well, I know, just as my personal belief, I went through that stage. I battled with it. I was 105 pounds and grew a foot and a half. So that gives you a good image. So I would probably share some of my experiences with them and let them know, you know what, you have to be your own self, that your body type is different. Nobody's going to look like a Kate Moss every single day. It's just not possible. So I just really tell them to look inside and find their own beauty within, because I know that sounds kind of like pageantry, but it's realistic, because if I wouldn't have found who I was inside, I wouldn't be able to walk across stage proud in a swimsuit. So it's really about their self-esteem and their self-confidence on
What's
who
your
they are.
favorite kind of movies?
My favorite kind of movies, I love a lot of dancing movies, probably because I'm a tap dancer. Like one of my favorites is Center Stage. I just love that drama, and I really love watching people dance.
What's the biggest mistake you've made?
The biggest mistake I've made? I can't say there's any big mistake that I've made, because everything I've done is created an experience in the person that I am. So I don't know that I can...
What's the worst thing that's ever happened to you?
that's ever happened to me. My speeding? I have gotten a few speeding tickets, and it's not a good thing. It's something that I'm not proud of, but there are mistakes, and I realize that you're not
Did
supposed
Harriet Myers
to.
get a bum rap?
Did she get a bum rap? I think Harriet Myers was good for knowing that that's not something that she wanted to pursue. So a bum rap and a person realizing that wasn't her goal and that she should step down, I think she should be respected
So
for
you
that.
think she realized that and she wasn't forced out?
I think it was a little bit of both.
Is there any question that you prepared for that we didn't ask you?
Probably a little bit on the platform, like maybe why I have a passion for Special Olympics. Can I go ahead and answer it? I don't have any relation with Special Olympics or a person with special needs. What happened was the first year that I went to help with an academic group to our district games, I was helping
Shannon, I'm sorry, the regular time is up. Is
Okay.
there anything else that you would like to share with us?
I'd like to go ahead and finish sharing this with you because it is special to me. That first year, I was helping a little girl go through the soccer skills, and I needed to write down her name after it was all over. And this little hazel-eyed blonde girl replied with Shannon, and it really touched my heart. I realized there's people like her, and that could have been me. But God has put me in this position, and I'm going to fight for people like her to have the opportunity to compete for Special Olympics. I want you to know that I really want this job of being Miss America. My experience and appreciation for this system is undeniable, and I would really love to start the new image and put Miss America back in the homes of our nation, all across our nation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, how are you?
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm so excited that we're here in Las Vegas. I think it's only fitting that we're here in Las Vegas for the Miss America pageant because it's the town of betting against all odds. And that resonates in my life because I feel like I've already beaten the odds. Coming from a family where my dad is Chinese and he came over as an exchange student, and my mother grew up on a farm in Georgia and never received a college education, I feel blessed to be where I am today. So with 40% of young people not believing that the American dream is attainable for them, I'm here to show them that it is.
Thank you. I have the first question. Growing up as a biracial woman, have you ever felt the pressure, and how did you handle to identify with one race or another?
Honestly, growing up, the only time that I ever really noticed it was when I was in kindergarten. That was the only time anybody ever made me feel different. And I had a lot of strong role models in my life. My parents always told me that you're unique. Yes, you are biracial, but that doesn't make you any different than anybody else because everybody is unique. That was the only time it really ever bothered me.
Have you met with a lot of discrimination?
No, I really haven't. And honestly, I know that I am half Chinese and half American, but I really feel American. This is where I grew up. This is the culture that I live in, and that's how I've adapted.
The Confederate flag of the state of Georgia was a big issue for a while. How do you feel about the Confederate flag in the South today?
I think that the right decision was made. You know, that is part of our history, and it is still on our flag as part of the history. I think it definitely should be considered, but I don't think that should be the focus of our flag.
You're from South Carolina?
Yes, I am originally.
And how did you choose University of Georgia?
Well, half of my friends seem to be going to the College of Charleston, and half of them seem to be going to Clemson and USC, so I really have always done my own thing. I've been very independent, and I just wanted to try something new.
And what is consumer journalism? Is that a major there?
It is a major. I'm glad that you asked that because many people have a misconception of what consumer journalism is. Half of my major was in the journalism school where my emphasis was on advertising, and the other half was in family and consumer sciences where my emphasis was on child and family development. It's
What's
kind
your
of a mix
favorite
and
show
match.
on MTV?
The Real World.
Where did you live in France?
I lived in Clermont-Ferrand.
And do you speak French?
I don't. I have an ear for it, and when I graduated from college, my dad took me back there, and he's fluent in French as well. So it was nice to go back, and it was almost exhausting because you're trying to pick up on the words, and by the time you figured out what they're saying, they've already moved, 20 miles an hour past you.
How do you feel about Kanye West?
In what situation?
How do you feel about his comment towards George Bush?
I'm not really familiar with it. I like his music, and that's all I really know about the comment that he made.
He said George Bush does not like black people.
Oh, in terms of the Hurricane Katrina, is what you're saying. I think that he probably felt very, he probably felt very sorry for the people that were in, the areas of Hurricane Katrina, and he was probably just trying to relate to them. I don't think he's necessarily on track with that comment.
How would you use your advertising expertise to create an ad using the Miss America crown in a way that reaches a new audience, updates the image, takes advantage of our CMT television connection?
You know, it's really great because last year's Miss America, or well, this current year's Miss America, last year and this year, Deidre, I love the ads of her that Con Air did for her with the crown and different areas of her holding it in different ways, and then having CMT use it. I think that's perfect. It's a fresher idea, a new twist on an old idea, and I think that's what
Would you
we
add
need.
another way?
I'm sorry?
Would you add another way the crown would be used?
For me, I think that Miss America doesn't wear the crown as often as I'd like to see, because when I see Miss America, I picture the crown, and I really enjoy seeing that image, whereas she will have it in different areas in the photos. I would kind of like to see it on her head
Could
as
an
well.
inner city child, though, relate to Miss America walking in with a crown?
I'm sorry, say again, please?
Could an inner city child relate to a Miss America who walks in with a crown?
I think so, definitely. I think that it doesn't necessarily matter that she has a crown on her head. It's what she has to offer to that child. It's how she relates to them in person, and if that kind of draws an interest to her, I think that she'll be able to relate to them.
What does Miss America offer to this child?
I think that, specifically me in general, I know somebody that comes from a strange background, that I can offer somebody the security that they need, somebody that can offer warmth and personality and a mentoring.
Say you become Miss America, and during your year, a former Miss America or a former Miss America contestant decides to pose for Playboy, because it's something that she wants to do, and she does that during your year. How do you combat any negative stereotypes or negative comments that may come from that?
Well, I think that, I'm really going to I would have to separate myself from what happened. We're moving forward. We're in a new direction this year, a completely new area that we're having the pageant, a new time, and I think that you're going to have to really focus on, well, this is the direction that we're going in. Yes, she made her own decision, and that's not necessarily great press for the Miss America organization, but we have to focus on the positive aspects of our organization.
Monica, should we as Americans be concerned about our outsourcing of jobs to China and India?
I think, for me, it's a very difficult situation because I'm so happy that my dad had the opportunity to come to the United States and to work here, and I understand that he wants to give back to his family, and he still sends money back to his family to help support them. I think the job is there. I think we need to focus on building more jobs in our country, but we're never going to be able to get away, I think, completely from outsourcing jobs.
How has
What made
the
you
Iraq
choose this
War-
list of corporate sponsors in this paperwork?
I'm sorry?
What made you come up with this list of corporate sponsors in your paperwork? You said you want to form partnerships with these sponsors, and you listed these.
These are partnerships that are already established with America's Promise. These are corporate sponsors or organizations through civic organizations that they're already partnered with that I really want to build upon.
How has the Iraq War affected your life?
It affected my life, especially with the draft situation. I have two older brothers. I'm the youngest of three, and it really kind of scared me. It brought to the forefront, wow, I could really lose my brothers to this war. I do agree with the draft. I think that it should be mandatory, but it really scared me to know that my brothers' lives might have to be on the line.
What could you do to stop child labor?
To stop child labor? That's a tough situation. I don't know if I have necessarily the answer for it. All I can do is be an advocate for those children and make sure that laws are in place. I'm trying to advocate for those laws to make sure that that doesn't happen.
China's economy is booming right now. Can you speak to that issue?
I really am not very familiar with that. I'm sorry.
As a national spokesperson for America's Promise, are you paid?
No, I'm not. This is unpaid.
And so then, as a national spokesperson for the Miss America pageant, who will pay you, how do you balance those two jobs?
Well, as a spokesperson for America's Promise, like I said, it's unpaid, but with America's Promise, they have these established contacts and sponsors, and hopefully I can work with them to, they're already backing America's Promise and what it stands for, so hopefully I can build upon that and see if they would tie in and be able to foot the bill for Miss America.
Do you watch football?
Yes, I do.
Who's your
College
favorite
football. University of Georgia Bulldogs.
What would your last boss say is the one work habit you need to improve?
I need to improve. I need to leave on time. And not meaning in a negative way. I was usually always the person that was there late, and he felt like I was working too much and not focusing more on my social life.
What do you do for fun?
What do I do for fun? I watch movies. I hang out with my friends.
What kind of movies?
Usually romantic comedies. I'm romantic at heart, so that's...
Do you go to clubs?
I'm not a big club person, honestly. When I was in college, I would go out with my friends and things, but as I've gotten a little bit older, I've kind of not really fallen in love with that
Who's your
same...
favorite designer?
Gucci.
And do you think it's appropriate for Miss America to be in a Gucci campaign?
I'm sorry?
Do you think it's appropriate for Miss America to be in a Gucci campaign?
I don't think it's inappropriate.
Team Aniston or Team Jolie?
Aniston, all the way.
Why?
I just feel like, I guess maybe it's the way the media has portrayed it and that she was victimized, and I feel sorry for her. You know, I've been on, not always, but I've been on that side where, you know, somebody else moved on with their life, and, you know, I feel sorry for her.
So do you believe what you read in the media?
No, not always, but, you know, a lot of times you hear a rumor, and then later on come to find out there was a press release, and it does say that it was true. So sometimes there is truth in it, I think.
Should the drinking age be lowered to 18?
I don't see why not. I think that when you're 18, you're responsible enough to be in the military, and I think that you should be able to make your own decisions as far as whether you drink or not. I think if we have that responsibility at 18 to go to the military, we should also have that responsibility and the right to make that decision for
When should we leave Iraq?
I'm sorry?
When should we leave Iraq?
I wish that we would have already left by now, honestly. I feel like we're there and maybe we're treading too much on their territory. I think that we need to let them make their own government and have their own military. I know that we need to help them, but I think that we should have been out already.
Being familiar with Gucci and the advertising that they do you think it would be challenging for Miss America to then speak as an authority on serious subjects if she was in the campaign?
It might be, because I know some of their ads are very provocative. I think that Miss America should exude class and sophistication, and that would, you know, have to be on a case-by-case basis depending on what the ad would be. I wouldn't want to put Miss America in a position where she would look like she was lacking class.
What's the most important constitutional right that we have in America?
Freedom of speech.
Why?
I think that, honestly, with our organization, you can tell already these women, these contestants that I'm competing against, we all have something to say. We have our opinions and we have our beliefs, and I think that it would be a shame not to be able to use that right.
Does the press have too much freedom?
I'm sorry?
Freedom of the press?
I'm sorry?
Do you believe in freedom of the press?
I do believe in freedom of the press.
Is it too liberal, the press? Is it too liberal?
I think that some press is liberal, but then again, I think on the other side, there's also a press that's very right-wing. So, you know, you really have to watch different sides of the stories and make your own opinion about it. Sometimes it's difficult because you don't necessarily know which angle they're coming from.
Any question you prepared for today that we didn't ask you that you'd like to answer?
I was hoping I'd be prepared for everything.
With the recent miners tragedy, how do you feel about the press's role in the situation? Do you feel they moved too fast?
Definitely. They definitely moved too quickly. I think that they should have waited for an authoritative announcement about what exactly happened. I think that they played with people's emotions, and that was terrible. That was tragic.
You're in a crowded cocktail party with some business executives,
Yes.
and you feel a hand on your butt. What do you do?
Believe it or not, that's happened before. And you move away quickly. That's basically what I do. I normally turn around and then go to the other way. You know, I'm not very confrontational as far as that situation, but I get out of the situation.
You're one of the oldest contestants. Is that a plus or a minus?
I think it's definitely a plus. I think I am the oldest contestant.
You have answered everything today, and is there anything else that you would like to tell us?
I would. I foresee a great partnership with America's Promise and the Miss America organization. At the heart and the core of both of these organizations, they're really seeking that one individual that is well-rounded. The Miss America organization competes in 5 different areas, and the America's Promise Alliance works with the 5 promises: caring adults, healthy starts, safe places, effective education, and volunteer opportunities. They really have the same meaning. So for me, it's really important to work with this organization, and I'm so blessed to be here. I feel like being at Miss America really is America's Promise fulfilled.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I grew up in rural South Alabama, but I've spent time working in Manhattan, and I think it's really the spectrum of experiences that's given me the ability to connect with lots of different kinds of people of all walks of life, and I think that's really crucial, the ability to connect with other people in the role of Miss America. So let's talk more. I know you have lots of questions, so let's begin.
Hi.
Hi.
My question for you is, if you were in a position that you were asked to give a speech at a corporate event, a corporate board event, and there was a gentleman there that was the major sponsor who was providing millions of dollars to the Miss America organization, afterwards comes up to you and just asks you to go to dinner with him, just you and him, how would you respond and what would you do?
Well, first of all, I know that Miss America always travels with a traveling companion, so luckily I would
Let's
have
take
her.
the traveling companion
Okay.
out of the picture, just between you and him.
Well, I would certainly say, I certainly appreciate your sponsorship, and thank you so much for your offer. I don't know if it's necessarily appropriate for us to just go together, the two of us. Maybe we should have others join us.
What if he says, well, I want to just go to dinner with you alone at a very
Right.
nice restaurant, or I think I'm just going to stop sponsoring the Miss America organization?
Right. Well, first of all, I would hope that that wouldn't happen, but, things happen do like that in real life. I guess I would just say, I'm sorry, this is not really appropriate for what I'm supposed to be doing. And I hope that your sponsorship isn't contingent upon us going to dinner together, just by ourselves.
Excuse me,
Uh-huh.
you're 20, I think you've answered that. You're 24 years old, almost 25 years
Right.
old. Does your age help or hinder your role here as Miss America?
I think it can only help. I think it really sort of depends on, if you're a really mature 21-year-old or maybe 17-year-old or 24-year-old, depending on the experiences that you've had in life. And I think that I've really had incredible experiences that have really made me very mature for my age, yet, fun and contemporary. I mean, I'm fun. So I think it's really helpful. I've had great experiences that have prepared me.
What's your
I live
favorite
in
show on
New York,
MTV?
I'm sorry.
And tell me about MoMA. Were you there before it was reopened?
I was actually in the temporary location in Queens,
Queens.
so yeah,
What did
I took
you
the
do
train
with
every
your
day
You
and
took the
had the terrible cough, and yeah.
What was that internship?
It was an incredible internship, and did you ask how I received it?
Yeah, well, I was
I'm
going to say,
sorry.
what did you do with it?
Right, I worked in the education department for public and family programs. It was an amazing internship. It was for a semester, and it was my responsibility, well, two things. I helped plan the family tour guide that they were printing for the new, refurbished location. And also, I helped take care of lots of the art critics and art historians and artists when they came for lectures, so that was really cool.
What's your favorite painting?
I have lots of them. Starry Night wasn't there when I was there, but I remember the first time I went to MoMA and seeing it and just being swept off my feet, and I couldn't believe that I was looking at it. So I think that will always be my sentimental favorite.
What's the job description for Miss America's Chief Media Officer?
Right. As a Chief Media Officer, Miss America really has to be savvy, media savvy. She has to be able to be witty and on her feet and ready for press conferences and really ready to provide a leadership role for Miss America.
What does media savvy mean, and how would you apply
Right, being comfortable in front of the camera, being comfortable with reporters, being ready to talk about the organization, and really being ready to talk about the things that the Miss America organization is doing as a whole. And, being aware of negative things, saying, this may be negative, but here are the positives
What
as
is
well.
the negatives of Miss America?
I really think that right now it's sort of a tumultuous time, and so people are questioning the changes that we're making. I really see this as an opportunity for great growth and wonderful things to come. So,
European government funds the arts in a major way.
right.
Why don't we?
Why don't we?
Why does not the United States?
The United States.
Why don't we fund arts?
It's really interesting that you asked that. We had a reception at Curve a couple of nights ago, and I was talking to a man who was from Egypt and now lives in Tennessee, go figure. But he was talking about, in Egypt, really the role of the government in increasing educational standards, and he said, I don't understand why, I was telling him about my platform, why the government doesn't, and that's a great question, and they sort of do to an extent because they fund our education system, yet with budget cuts, we see that being the first thing eliminated, and really that's something that I'm working on in the state of Alabama, and I want to nationally, is make sure that we have enough funding appropriately allocated to teachers, art teachers, and art programs.
What exactly is this art education through nonprofit partnership? How do those two work together?
Right. Well, the beautiful thing about a nonprofit organization is a great way to fundraise and really sort of an easier way to get things together and really increasing your credibility. And so I created a nonprofit so that I could raise funds and have more credibility, and then I could instill those in different schools. With No Child Left Behind right now, they're having such trouble with implementation of this act that it's a great way for nonprofits to pair with school systems so that school systems can have the appropriate education for the arts and funding for it. And so it's just a really beautiful way to make that work, but also really help out school systems in need.
Is your program during school or after school?
They can be all kinds of things, and really that's been the great thing about my organization. When I started, I was 18. It was completely clueless and really didn't even know to be nervous about it when I would defend grants and write grants. But really, it was sort of a growing process for me because I was creating the programs and deciding what I wanted to do because my name was attached to it. It was a learning process for me. I've done all sorts of things. We've done after-school programs. We've done, curriculum-based programs for the primary curriculum standard facilitation in the classroom.
How do the teachers' unions take to this program to have volunteers teaching and
Right.
people who aren't certified teaching?
Right, absolutely, and that's a great question. And what I've done, in many cases, I'll partner with maybe, for example, in my hometown, the Visual Arts League of Andalusia. They have qualified art teachers, but when a qualified teacher is present, then they can work together and they can develop their own curriculum and how they may want to do that.
Should there be sex education in schools?
Should there be sex education? Absolutely, absolutely. I grew up in a Southern Baptist household. We didn't really talk about it. My parents gave me a book. But, I really think, and then I was lucky because I was, raised in a positive household with parents who loved me, and encouraged me. But there are so many kids that don't receive that, and I think that school is a great place to do that.
Do you think that the saying blood is thicker than water is true?
Well, I guess it sort of depends on the situation. I value my family very much. I'm an only child and I have a very special relationship with my parents.
How would you feel about leaving them Sunday morning for a long period of time and not being able to speak to them or being on the road and not being able to have physical contact with them?
I can handle it. We have cell phones, and my parents are great. And as Miss Alabama, of course, I haven't had to travel as Miss America, but it's a full-time job. And my parents love to call and check in. How you doing?
What's your
Text
favorite
message
show
is
on
great.
MTV? What's your
I'm
favorite
sorry?
show on MTV?
My favorite show? I love Pimp My Ride, and I'm the worst about, I used to have this car that I would bump into things when I first started driving, so I could really use that at some point.
I'm sorry, now.
I'm sorry.
What do you grow on your family farm?
Well, right now it's a pine tree farm. When it was bought by my great-grandfather, it was a tobacco and cotton farm, but my dad's an accountant and my mom's a teacher, so
it's a
planting
bunch of
pines is easier.
Christmas tree?
No, longleaf pines and loblolly pines.
Discrimination alive and well in Alabama, and do you think race played a role in how we responded to Katrina?
I hope that it didn't. I think it was really just a mismanagement, not necessarily about race. I think there's discrimination everywhere. Do I think that's improving? Absolutely. I think we can only go up, particularly in Birmingham. Birmingham is sort of a center for civil rights and has a very negative history. A couple of years ago, our first black female police chief was appointed. It was not a big deal. People weren't really bothered by it, and I think that says, we've really come a long way. So I think discrimination is alive and well in Alabama, but I think that we're suppressing it.
What one event in history, what one invention in history would you like to uninvent?
To uninvent? There are days that my cell phone could just be slammed against the wall, and that's sort of a joke and not a serious one, but my cell phone has been ringing a lot lately.
What is your opinion regarding dress codes and/or school uniforms in schools?
I think it's appropriate. I think there's many parents who just don't care or are not aware of what their kids are wearing to school, or maybe the connotations of certain clothing, and I think that's something that should be allowed, certainly.
You don't think it's an issue of freedom of expression?
I think that it's important to express who you are through your clothing. I definitely always have. However, when it hinders your educational process and the way people are perceiving you, I think that's a problem.
Should there be a rule against a Miss America contestant having plastic surgery?
I don't think so. You never really know why people are having something.
It gives someone an unfair advantage.
Right. Well, if it was, if it was a breast reduction and they were having, serious back problems from it, I don't see a problem with that. And if you make that argument, I don't think you can very well say, well, you can't have breast implants.
Should gay people allowed to be married and adopt children?
Absolutely, absolutely. The thing is about adoption, really, children just need a home where parents love them, and who cares what the parents are like if they love them and it's a healthy household.
Do you watch football?
I do, and Alabama-Auburn football is huge in Alabama. I went to Birmingham Southern. We don't have a football team, so it kind of allowed me to be excluded from that. My dad was in the marching band at Alabama, so it was really obnoxious. We played marching band CDs before Alabama football games every weekend of my childhood.
Commercially, how can we make the Miss America organization known in households across the country commercially via TV
media advertising.
Right, well, I love what CMT has done so far. I think that's very important and very strong. They've done incredible advertisements of it, and I've had a wonderful time being part of that. But I think what it's about is really Miss America being a visible presence in the media and really, promoting with more commercials, putting her on billboards, endorsing products. I think that's what's really important, is her being something that is a brand that people trust. And I think that's a basic marketing skill of trusting a brand. And Miss America has to be that brand, and by putting her in the media's presence, the media's eye, constantly, whether it's walking down a red carpet, whether it's a commercial, I think that's the best way to do it.
Are we in Iraq for their freedom or for our oil purposes?
I would love to say that it's just for their freedom and to promote democracy.
I'm sorry, we're finished. Would you like to share with us one last thought?
Absolutely. I was telling my mother the other night, I was like, as much as I love being Miss Alabama, I would love a promotion. And really, it's been my experience in competing in Miss Alabama and the Miss America system and my role this year as a state title holder that I think has really instilled and concreted my vision of who I can be and the work ethic that I have to be Miss America, to not only market myself and the message of my platform, but most importantly, the Miss America organization. And I would love that opportunity.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good night.